Ma'am. Oh, miss. Whatever.
I want to ask Mr. Barrett a question. I know the answer, but I want you to. Why do you think he'll make a good candidate as an outsider to the state of Oregon?
Okay, thank you. Actually, and that can dovetail with how I'd want to respond to the lady in the back as well. And part of the political and decision-making process is being able to figure out ways to combine things so you save money and time and effort and all that stuff. So here goes. I'm not a native Oregonian. I like to think I had the smarts to want to move here as opposed to the good luck of being born here. But I did live through the civil rights movement in the South. And like most white Southerners, I was a segregationist. That was the world I grew up in. And I want you to understand that, you know, just like those of you who are natives to this region, and this is the world you've grown up in. This is your worldview, your understanding, how you see things. And like Nick said, you're entitled to that. That's part of being a citizen in this country. I can tell you that the day John Kennedy was assassinated, most of the white people in the town I grew up in said, well, he deserved it for trying to ram all this integration shit down our throats. And I look back on those sentiments, and what I realized were that from our perspective that they were right. Because we did not want change any more than any other human being does. Think about it. Who here wants radical change? You get comfortable in your environment. Why do you want it to change? Unless it has to. But I also came to understand the bigger picture of things that didn't affect me, affected other people whose lives were as valuable as mine. And I actually wrote about this in the Oregonian about hospitality. I was raised in a world where when people come to your home, you try to make them feel as comfortable and as welcome as possible. We have a growing Spanish surname community. We also have a very old Spanish surname community that's been here for 3 generations, maybe longer. Those folks wanted something to acknowledge their contributions to our community. And even though it was unpopular, that's why it happened. And frankly, I would have done the same thing for that reason. And I hope that all works. And that's the outsider's perspective. Thank you.
This is a question for Commissioner Fish. The last time you were here, you really helped us get excited about creating a community garden. And we've got a great group together, and we've moved a long way towards that. And I wondered if you could give us an update on where we are with the city on the community garden and possibly getting the water hookup and that end of things helped out from your side of things.
Well, thank you for the question. This is the garden that you're going to build in Fraser Park?
Right.
So, I have a confession. I'm crazy about community gardens. And 2 Fridays ago, the Parks Bureau cut the ribbon on community gardens number 33 and 34 in our system. And we opened one at Madison High School, and we opened one at Vestal Elementary School. And at Madison, the school band came out dressed in their fanciest uniform and performed, and parents and teachers and kids came. And it's a beautiful thing. And the reason that I'm passionate about community gardens is not only because they bring people together, and not just because they're part of this great urban agriculture movement, and not just because I like to get my hands dirty, but they help us grow healthy food, and that healthy food helps feed people who are hungry. So, because of my interest in community gardens, last year I asked the governor to designate our community garden initiative as what's called an Oregon Solutions program. And Oregon Solutions is something that only the governor can designate. And once he did, we brought together 35 key stakeholders throughout the metro area who are involved in this movement. And we spent the last year developing what's called a Declaration of Cooperation, or a roadmap. And we're going to sign it in about 1 month with Governor Kulongoski. And what it calls for is adding 1,000 new plots within 2 years. And that is essentially a doubling of our capacity. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to remove the barriers that currently exist that make it harder for neighborhoods like this to put in a neighborhood garden. The Water Bureau has committed to reducing fees. We've started an intergovernmental task force to look at all the regulatory burdens. We're going to raise money to fund them. I see someone walking towards me. And here's the kicker. We can't get there by ourselves. So we're engaging neighborhoods, churches, schools, and government, working together to expand our community garden capacity. I'm a huge fan of what you and Tamara and others are doing here. You have my full support, and my goal is to have every school and every neighborhood in the city able to have their own community garden. So thank you.
You have 70% of the workforce being Hispanic or Latino. How do all the candidates up here plan on engaging those persons? And they may be Spanish speaking or of another dialect.
You have to pick a candidate to ask the question.
Okay, yeah, I turn to please.
Aprendo mi español cuando yo vivo en Miami, con mis amigos de Cuba y más. Y vivo en Los Ángeles 22 años y aprendo más español allá. Es malo, pero es español. Y entiendo más despacio de yo hablo, pero es bastante.
Very good. How come there's not more of a Hispanic presence here? And a black presence? I'm just asking. I mean, I'm not going to be a troublemaker.
We invited all the candidates.
Thank you.
I can tell you why there's not a big black presence here, and being involved in the African American community, and the African American community don't like me all the time, is because the African American community a lot of times is not how many African Americans you see here. So I'm not going to defend my race if my race doesn't step up to the plate. And I've been saying this for years. I lived in Happy Valley, and someone asked me to come when they were trying to close down Jefferson High School. I asked myself, why should I bother? My children go to Sunnyside High School. So I went because Jefferson's my alma mater. I get to Jefferson High School, there's 90-some% whites there. And I'm like, where are the African Americans? Simple as that. Because the African Americans need to get involved more. And you can tell them I said it.
Yeah, I know. And I'm going to say my constituents in the Hispanic
People that
Latino
haven't had a
community.
chance to ask.
I know
Then we'll come
Professor
back.
Dr. Soto that won't come because of the
You kind of describe yourself as a fiscal conservative. Are you in favor of the numerous contracting things for consultants that the city seems to be doing lately? Millions of dollars worth of contracts for consultants when we have bureaus and lots of good people, I think, in them.
Let me apologize to everyone in the room. If anyone walks away with the impression that I am in any way conservative, it's wrong. I'm not. I would never claim that. On issues of fiscal accountability, I'm far from conservative. We absolutely have to raise revenue to make sure we're taking care of the key priorities in this city. And also, when we're raising revenue, we have to think about how we're raising it. You can't just imagine how up in arms this city would be if we enacted a bike registration fee to help pay for the big pipe. People would go nuts. And it doesn't work the other way either. You can say, sure, it's just 90 cents per month per home. It's 90 cents per month per ratepayer. Sure. So you have to be very wise in how you're spending it. And each and every expenditure that comes before the city, what you're gonna find is me taking a very close look. In times like these, it's the wrong time to spend money like that. I wanna build the bike plan, but I wanna fund it out of transportation money. If we're doing other things that have a limited purview, we should actually look and make sure we're not raising money from a separate, select, limited pot of money. If it comes from a general pot, fine. If it comes from a pot specifically raised for that purpose, great. But it can't come from left field anymore.
No?
I was itching. You don't want me to ask a question.
Okay.